Hey Rev, it's Jayde here, and I hope just this message of going back to basics just encourages you today. So recently I went through some difficult times and I pretty much kept it to myself. I became distant from God, started questioning His provision, His grace, His love, and really who He is and what He is doing in my life. And I'm sure that most of us have gone through similar struggles and we've had a hard time seeing God through these struggles. I pretty much felt worthless, and I felt like I had lost that feeling of His love and His presence in my life. I didn't feel like I was on fire for Him anymore, and I wasn't at peace. I honestly believed that He wasn't helping me with my problems. My focus was on my problems and not on Him. And so I got to this point where I thought, maybe I don't need Jesus. Maybe I can deal with my problems by myself. And when I came to this realization, I broke down crying because I realized whether I had problems or didn't, my life wouldn't be the same without Jesus. He died for me. Could I really say that I would honestly do the same for somebody else? I wouldn't be here today without Him, and wouldn't have a family or amazing friends, a church, opportunities, or a future if I didn't have Jesus in my life. So most of you know that I'm crazy into sports. And the other day I had this analogy and I thought it was the best time to share it. So during games I've played where the whole game was falling apart and our focus wasn't right, the coaches would always say, let's go back to basics and start adjusting our focus. And immediately the game would start calming down and we would do much better. In the Bible there's a story about Jesus walking on water. In Matthew 14 verse 22 to 33 it says, "Immediately He made the disciples get into the boat and go before Him to the other side, while He dismissed the crowds. And after He had dismissed the crowds, He went up on the mountain by Himself to pray. When evening came, He was there alone. But the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night, He came to them, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw Him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, 'It is a ghost!' And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, 'Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid.' And Peter answered Him, 'Lord, if it is You, command me to come to You on the water.' He said, 'Come.' So Peter got onto the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Jesus immediately reached out His hand and took a hold of him, saying to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?' And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. And those in the boat worshipped Him, saying, 'Truly You are the Son of God.'" So in this, we see that the disciples question if it was Jesus who was walking on water. Just like we question if Jesus is with us through our struggles. Jesus tells them to take courage and not to be afraid because He is there. The Lord is always with us. When Peter walks on water, he starts sinking because his focus isn't on Jesus. Just like we start sinking into our struggles because we aren't focused on Him. Jesus questions his faith when He saves him and asks why he doubts Him. Just like we do, we start doubting Him and we lack faith. Jesus calms the wind. When Jesus brings us to our problems, He will get us through Him. He will calm the storms in our lives. So I asked a few of the leaders what it meant for them when I said, go back to basics with God. And these were them. Number 1, remember the first time I got to know Him and the reason why I chose Him. Number 2, remember all that He has done for us. Number 3, be vulnerable with Him. Spend one-on-one time with Him. Number 4, get simple again. Worship Him, read His word, His truth, and pray intentionally. And number 5, refocus your heart and your eyes on Him. To end this off, I would just like to leave you with this. We all go through tough times, and we need to remember that the Lord is always with us. Just like Joshua 1 verse 5 says, "No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you." Jesus died on the cross for us, out of love, and He will not stop loving us due to our circumstances. Lamentations 3 verse 21 to 22 says, "But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end." Our struggles are nothing compared to what God has planned for us in our futures. Romans 8 verse 18 says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." And lastly, just have faith in Him. Thank you.